Following that disturbing sequence, we learn that the Jackal implanted Ben with mental implants that prevent him from attacking his creator. However, such implants are apparently not in Spidey since he decks the Jackal, having gotten over his apparent hate of computers. The Jackal decides to lay a new bombshell on us. He was lying before about Ben being the real one. Peter is in fact the one original Spider-Man. Everything else is just smoke and mirrors. And we have a title, ladies and gentlemen. Not that it had any real relevance to the plot, though. Scarlet Spider rightfully asks why he lied, and the Jackal's response is, "For fun? I've got to learn to program a sense of humor into the next batch. Somebody ought to program a sense of humor into this comic. See, Ben, this is how a real man acts. Peter knows how to deal with our type. A quick kill and then off to the smokestacks for us. Isn't that how it goes, Petey?" Oh sure, bring that up in front of the clone. Spider-Man, once again growing pissy, knocks the Jackal into more machinery and brings up another plot hole they felt needed to be resolved here. That the Jackal never actually created any clones, but it was some virus that altered their appearances. I know, it's comic books, okay? It all happened in a crossover event several years ago called the Evolutionary War. The villain, a man called the High Evolutionary, saw the Gwen Stacy clone and revealed that Miles Warren hadn't in fact cloned anyone, that it was a virus that changed her body around, and that the Jackal had planted false memories in the poor woman named Joyce Delaney.
This is starting to sound like a bad comic book plot.
Why'd they do that? I don't know exactly. They probably just didn't want the Gwen Stacy clone still running around but didn't want to kill her. The really interesting thing is that it was done by Jerry Conway, the same guy who did the original Clone Saga in the 1970s. So how do they sweep this particular continuity flaw under the rug? Well, they don't. All the Jackal does is say, "Exactly what purpose would telling the truth you have served the High Evolutionary? Interesting. Can't think of a thing, can you? Me neither." I think it was later explained that the High Evolutionary was jealous of him or some crap like that. Anyway, the Jackal once again confirms that Peter is the real deal, the original Spider-Man, and that she should have the life you've always deserved, always wanted. Aw, isn't that sweet? Why is no one punching the Jackal and shipping him off to the authorities? Spidey goes over to Gwen and reiterates that he knows it's not really her, and that even if she was, he moved on with his life, and she hugs him while he just stands there, looking kind of like that one Rob Liefeld drawn Captain America with the inflated chest. However, amidst Gwen's tears, veins start appearing across her skin. Oh my god! But that only happened to the other clone, the Guardian. But then that would mean that this Gwen Stacy is... And faster than you can say, "Oh, what a world, what a world!" the clone Gwen Stacy melts away. I wish I was a clone right now. The two look down at the puddle of goo that was once the clone before leaping at the Jackal to attack, Spidey shouting, "Why?" with huge letters as if this was the most horrible thing in the world. Okay, this has long since stopped being an heroic spaz attack and is now going into an all-out heroic temper tantrum. Anyway, what's the Jackal's answer? Smoke and mirrors, when will the truth be told? Well, if we expect you to give the answers, no wonder this saga took another 2 years to finish. Scarlet Spider kicks him in the face, so much for that whole mental implant thing, while Spidey hits him in the stomach, forcing the Jackal to say he's ready to tell them the truth finally. The truth, my boys, is neither of you is the real one! What? Oh, right. And by the way, he does this while literally stepping into a mirror. I guess he's gonna go see the Southern Oracle and save Fantasia now or something? He says that they're both clones and that the facility is about to explode. The two pound away at the mirror, but they can't get through. He tells them that the real Peter Parker is still somewhere and that they'd better get to looking for him. Jack, however, looking down at the gooey remains of Gwen Stacy, worries that that's going to be his fate. Being useful for a change, he tells them that they won't be able to get through the mirror, maybe you two should have tried to stop him before you spent all your time listening to his babbling, but that they could get through the main door if they both work together. Jack gets pulled into the mirror just before the facility explodes, sending the Spider-Men flipping out. By the way, in case you're wondering, no, we never get an explanation for how exactly the facility decided just that moment to start blowing up, though I expect it has something to do with the Spidey's earlier assaults. The two agree that it may be possible for them to come up with a way to stop the clone degeneration thing, but that they'd have to be certain which of them is the clone. Scarlet suggests that it'd be easier for them to just keep on believing what they believed before the whole mess started. Spider-Man is reluctant to do so since they can't trust anything about themselves anymore, but Scarlet Spider just says he'll get used to it. Well, thanks, comic. It's good to know that this three-parter resolved nothing and didn't advance the ongoing plot any further. Thanks for that waste of paper! Well, the last page has Kane watching again. And guess what Scryer is doing? Watching Kane. This is the equivalent of a scene where all we see is somebody watching a TV screen. Back inside the remains of the lab, though, rests a pod. And within the pod... Well, what rests within the pod? Is it pod people? Is it Jesus? Is Jesus in the pod? Tell us! Personally, I think it's more of the Jackal's homemade butter. Anyway, what we get out of this comic is the first sign that the entire premise of the Clone Saga was starting to slip under its own weight. The storyline did nothing beyond resurrecting the Jackal, but instead of resurrecting one of Spidey's villains, what we got instead was some bizarre mixture of the Joker, Dennis Miller, and Carrot Top. This comic sucks, so instead of reading it, watch a horror movie and have a happy Halloween.